Hello everyone. I thought after a long while I'd make another video. I don't really know if this is the right way. I just know that something is not right in the way things are unfolding geopolitically, so to speak. I don't know, is the solution to just take yourself completely out of that? I mean, I'm not talking about ignoring it. I think that's definitely the wrong way, but maybe realizing that power-hungry people and people who believe power-hungry people have a legitimate right to exert their power in all sorts of coercive ways. I mean, if that's the way we're going, and if there's no alternative, then maybe the only way is to just take yourself out of it, find real communities of people who want to just build a true community, where things like solidarity and being there for each other can actually mean something, off-grid, because it has to be off-grid, because there's so many mechanisms and bureaucratic hurdles and licensing conundrums involved with being part of the system that I just don't know how else or what else to do within the system than just trying to talk about the absurdities, about some of the things that we accept as normal and that I don't think are normal. So yeah, no idea if, am I contributing to the heated debate already? I don't know. I think the debate is only heated because either side of most debates that take place these days, they don't seem to just apply logic and reason. And it's some issues are complicated, I don't expect. I'm always open to also making a logical fallacy in something, right? That's why I want to have discussions in the open, so we can have proper back and forth and I can actually learn something like I've done from so many incredible minds that are already out there sharing their knowledge. The only way to get to the bottom of things is if we have open and honest conversations without any agenda or our egos and our reluctance to say the three most powerful words any human being can speak, which I was wrong. Just not let our ego might prevent us from speaking those words, and that obviously makes any meaningful debate that leads to knowledge and understanding impossible. One characteristic of being deceived is that you don't know that you're being deceived. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be deceived. And it might sound strong, but it might be a strong word to use, but I was deceived for a large part of my life. I mean, the majority of my life I lived deceived about things that you can actually uncover as like lost, forgotten, or hidden truths. You work out along the way why people have an interest in hiding these truths from you, and most generally speaking, they do that because they don't want you to understand what a being of infinite potential you are, and I know this sounds romantic or far-fetched or unbelievable, and I would have laughed at this idea 15, 20 years ago, but no more do I laugh at that idea. And what took me there is a 12 to 15 year process, and a process that will continue all my life until I die, I'm sure. But how do you even begin to try and make people understand what you've understood over the course of those 10, 12, 15 years in one video, right? Especially in an age where videos need to be short. A lot of meaningful things can be said in very few words, but trying to untangle a net weaved of lies can obviously not be done in 2 minutes. And so I just generally wanted to say a few words about authority while cooking a absolutely delicious Indian dal. My mom's from India, so I like to honor my heritage every now and again. Yeah, authority. I'm not, for a change, talking about state imposed and perceived authority, but I'm talking about people being perceived as authorities in their respective fields in which you happen to be no authority. Now, and I also happen to be no authority. Science currently, and it's not just true for medical science. It also concerns, for instance, all things concerning space travel, etc. It doesn't really follow the true criteria for what I would put forward constitutes actual science, natural science, which is concerned with the diligent observation of reality and testing and experimenting with phenomena and repeating those tests frequently until you feel like you can make a claim about your observations. And then you make a claim about your observations, which turn out to be the same no matter how often you run the tests. And then you've established a paradigm that is accepted as true in the scientific community after being peer reviewed, etc., of course, to be the standard, until somebody disproves your paradigm by running an experiment, after which the result differs from what the previous paradigm had established as scientific truth. That is, I would say, natural science broken down in a nutshell. This needs to be clearly separated from an almost, scrap almost, of a religious form of blind trust in religious, in scientific authority, which I would call, and this is not my invention, this is all over, discussion forums on the net, scientism. The religious form, we can, even if it's just for the sake of argument, we call that scientism, where the priests, what the priests of the Church of Scientism say is accepted as truth. And everybody else is literally a heretic, who deserves your contempt for not going with the dogma. Because if you just invested a little bit of time, stepping out from behind this what does little old me know facade, this really poor excuse to not even, try to understand the basics of what is being said. Like, once you step out from behind this protection of, oh, what do I know, I'm not an expert, and just look at what people are saying, you will find that there are many people that should be considered experts for their merits in the field, in this case in the medical field, and who you should listen to because they say something completely different than what the ever same people that are being shoved in our face by virtually every mainstream source have to say. And there are a significant amount of people who make a very sound line of argument for why it has, for instance, never been proven that a virus makes a person ill, nor that this person could spread that virus onto another person who didn't have that virus and was healthy, and now that they have what is identified as a virus under the microscope, they become ill with those symptoms. This is not what I'm saying. This is what many medical experts are trying to make the people understand. And I keep on harping on about this, but I just think it's one of the biggest components to setting our minds and then our hearts and souls free, is the 5 biological laws of nature, which are called laws of nature because they've been discovered through applying this scientific process as laid out earlier. Constant observation and experimentation and running of tests, and making claims based on those observations which have happened not to have been disproven yet. That's what the 5 biological laws of nature build upon. And you don't have to be an expert to understand the basic premise. Just like you don't have to be an expert to understand the basic premise of a claim as outrageous as it's never been proven that a virus makes a person ill, nor that a virus spreads in the way that we are told, and in reaction to which all these measures are being implemented. And that's the most important thing, people are kept in a constant state of fear. And that's acknowledged across all fields of medical science, is a huge contributor to your health. I mean, in a negative way, obviously. You have to ask yourself, why is it not worth investing a few hours in wrapping your head around these things? If it means it would take away your fear, which would already raise the quality of life so much. The thing is, most people still believe the liars on the TV, and in the most widely read papers. And this is not the place to go into how you can trace back, the ownership of what is supposed to be a variety of opinions to very few entities. Very few companies that own almost all of the media. This is not the place to go into this, but you just need to be aware of that, and aware that the state has always had an agenda, and he had always, if you look into history, he always tries to make the public go along with that agenda through propaganda. That's what we are dealing with. And those that don't parrot the propaganda and have somewhat of a public, they are publicly basically shunned, or they are publicly made defamed and branded as people that you don't want to associate yourself with. So that's why whatever I'm saying ultimately doesn't change anything anyway, because you don't perceive me as an authority. And why would you? You don't. You would never believe me, which you also shouldn't. I mean, you should research yourself everything I'm saying. That's why you're not going to just believe me. That's why you need to do the research yourself and find all these people that, even by your standards, can be considered authority because of their credentials, and see what they have to say. And that's a big part of it, not be discouraged after doing a Google search and having nothing but articles that call them all sorts of nasty words. From right-wing extremists to conspiracy nutcrack to, I don't know, whatever, they come up with to make, people not want to associate themselves with them or even read what they have to say. But you need to understand that that we're being played if we follow that line. It's like, there's this meme which says, okay, so you say all mainstream media are lying. Well, I need you to prove that to me by providing a mainstream source. Just like I'm not saying every mainstream outlet is lying, and there's so many, you know, journalists working everywhere, like, obviously, it's not like in Nazi Germany when you had the Volksempfänger, which was just a radio, one channel hammering out. I know it's not, but it's also not nearly as varied, the opinion you get out there, as you would think. Given the amount of bloody channels that we have, it's ridiculous how streamlined. I mean, yes, you have right wing, left wing, Republican, progressive, Labour, Tory, whatever, but I'm telling you, and I've been harping on about this for really many years now, that dichotomy is false. It doesn't exist. These people work for different interests, which you can also research, you know, which you obviously wouldn't just believe. You know, like if the rabbit just told Alice about everything that's down in the rabbit hole, she would laugh. She would have laughed him out the room. She had to go down the rabbit hole herself. Will you find a lot of bullshit down various rabbit holes? Yes, for sure. But all you need to do is apply your discerning mind. You know, allow yourself a quiet moment and understand that we aren't hamsters in a wheel. We aren't robots working the machine 24/7, you know, just to have 30 days, if we're really lucky, of vacation per year. Like, this is not what a human life can be. And if you're fine with the way things are going, and this is maybe a good point to end this rant on, and I appreciate anyone who stuck through it for this long. If that is your attitude, that you're just fine, it's just easier for the mind, for the brain, to just go along with everything, because one, saying the most powerful words, "I was wrong," is never easy. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance you need to really wade through, because a lot of what you will hear goes directly against your deepest held beliefs. But if you allow yourself to admit what is an actual belief and what is an actual knowing, and then if you realize, okay, it's actually just a belief, allow yourself to look maybe into people who claim to have different view on your belief, and then allow yourself to admit that really your mind is capable of discerning the most rudimentary information, like the experiments ran right after the Spanish flu, to which I'm going to put the link to the PDF below this video. The experiments that were run in the most conclusive way imaginable to prove how viruses spread and make people ill, and failed in every count to do so. You know, nobody's gonna add that last grain that'll make you understand. No, I, with my discerning mind, am able to say, this is right, or this is wrong, this is true, this is false, no matter what a million other people say. You are not your opinions. You're not what is inside your head. I am not what is inside my head. It's, if you discover that an idea you've held isn't as good as you might thought it was, just let it go. Just let it go. Because whatever you do, it cannot get worse than holding on to a bad idea. Any alternative is better than holding on to a bad idea. And that fuzzy feeling that you get by being able to tell yourself, no, there's no need to change my thinking, or that warm fuzzy feeling of having mama state or daddy state handle all the things that, if they are really important to us, we should really muster up the energy to take care of ourselves. Like, I don't know, nutrition, you know, shelter, education. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to end it minutes ago, so I know the debate can get heated. Understand you are not your thoughts. That'll already make it less heated. Understand that if somebody brings up a counterpoint to your view, it's not because they have something against you. It's not to attack you directly, personally. It's to have a discussion. You know, the ideas exist outside of us. And know that you have the capacity to know and to understand. And please, please. Well, no, if you do that, you'll automatically get mad at all those people that are trying to keep you in a state of, how do you say, in an infantile state. Look at the communication. This is how you wash your hands. Oh, you bad person. Didn't you know how you wash your hands? You wash them for 20 seconds on each side between all the fingers. It gets worse if you go into the big cities. If you look into, in tube stations, like, the drawings, everything, it's done in a child-friendly manner, like. And that's also how a lot of us behave these days. Reluctant to embrace the responsibility that comes as a free human being. We need to learn to hate our chains, not embrace them and find all sorts of excuses for why they shouldn't be in place. And I say this with nothing but love in my heart and my mind, because I feel, at least, I know what kind of world we could build. We all in our individual communities, where community actually means something, But I know our communities around the world, what we could build. The abundance, the beauty, the freedom, and the health. That irreplaceable feeling of living as a free man or a free woman and being in control of your destiny in all aspects. That's what I yearn for every day, and it's the only motivation between anything I say. It's not to prove anyone wrong, because I've proven myself wrong many a time in my life, and to me it's not a biggie, It's like, yeah, I was wrong. So, muster up the courage to at least say those 3 words. I don't know, look, that might be a weird way to end it, like. Because now it seems like I want to prove people wrong, but I only want to do that to unleash this understanding, This understanding for who we actually are, because that's what's being hidden from us with all this false information and this religious form of scientism. It's all designed to make us look fragile, weak, insignificant. Mother Nature is this hostile entity that throws invisible particles around, only tamed by the genius scientists. This is, I swear with all my heart, this is not how it is. And Mother Nature is the greatest cure. I went on a run through the forest, and I found this face mask lying around, which you see everywhere these days, of course. But first I thought the irony, of somebody wearing a face mask in the forest, which scientifically contains all sorts of amazing, ethereal smells that make you healthy, like walking bare feet in the forest makes you healthy. Like, I thought, why would anybody wear it in the forest, preventing these amazing smells, the healing smells, to reach them? And then I thought, maybe the person entered the forest and thought, fuck this, took off the mask, and then, yes, shame on you, why do you just throw it on the floor? But maybe they thought, what am I doing? Let me finally breathe again.